Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we're talking about something that's, I think it's fun and a little lighter.
Okay.
But something that I think many of us deal with throughout our lives. And you have no idea what we're going to talk about, do you? No.
Cartoons in the 70s? What?
Well, well, that's actually a really nice segue into today's topic.
Is it?
Nostalgia addiction.
Oh, okay. So silly.
Being addicted to the past.
Oh, wow.
And there is
Cartoons
probably
of the
not
70s.
one of you who doesn't know somebody. Now, it may not be an addiction. That may be a strong term. But there's not one of you, I bet, that's watching or listening that doesn't know somebody who pines for the past, lives in the past, talks about the past a lot. We can all name somebody. Many of us have grandparents who talk on and on and on about the air quote good old days. So we're going to get into it.
I talk about things from the past
all the time.
Sometimes, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
And our kids roll their eyes. They don't care. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They're not interested. I think sometimes they just indulge us. Sometimes they don't. They just get up and leave the room because they could care less because it's not their reality. It's not their world.
Right.
And they will do it too one day. They will do it too. Okay. So this came about because I have a sibling who, it was funny because I've heard this. It just stuck with me because I was on a phone call with one of my brothers and he was talking about another one of my brothers and they don't listen to the podcast. So I can say this to all of you. And I don't think the one brother's ever going to listen to the podcast. He's not a podcast guy. And because he is time warped back to like 1976. And my one brother said it's so frustrating because he doesn't want anything to change. And we were talking about it in a larger context of things in my family, you know, the issues that go on in my crazy and dysfunctional family of origin. And he was kind of venting to me about our other brother. And he said, he never doesn't want anything to change. He just thinks it's like, what do you say? He just thinks it's like, he just wants everything to stay the way it was. And that's not how it is today. And he has said this to me before. And so has one of my sisters has said this about this brother too, that he's really trying to like wrangle us to stay the way that we were, although we're all like in our 50s now. And that how frustrating it is for my brother I was talking to about the other one. So we got off the phone and I thought, you know, I keep hearing this about him, my other brother. And recently I have sort of felt the same way about growing up in the 70s, thinking that that was like the best decade to grow up, and the 80s. Life was different. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. We weren't online. It wasn't a thing. And we spent our lives in real life, which you all know I talk about here on the podcast all the time, because that is directly linked to mental health and mental wellness. And yes, we had mental health issues back then. Of course we did. But we lived our lives outside and we lived our lives out loud for everybody to see for the most part. We didn't spend our time all the time in hours in our bedrooms and in our houses and on phones. We didn't have them. We watched television shows.
Yeah.
But we went out on the weekends. We were with our friends after school, laughing, going and getting ice cream, going and getting pizza or fries or whatever we were doing. We were with each other. And now when I look back sometimes at those years of my life growing up, I pine for it. And so when I was doing my research on this, there is something called nostalgia addiction, which I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. I have never seen anybody in my practice around this. It's not really a clinical issue. I'll get into it. I'll get into where it can become clinical later in the episode. But it's not something that people come to therapy or want coaching around how they can get out of their nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. So that's why I thought, well, this is maybe a lighter issue. It could lead to something deeper, though, for some people.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah. Is it safe to assume that there are moments where this nostalgia feeling or being is a good thing? It's a great thing.
Yes.
Right. And then there's other moments where it's like, okay, you need to let that go. And maybe it's more of a mental way of controlling yourself in 2025, 2026.
Exactly.
Right?
When things feel so out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think there's both sides of this story. There's some things where like you can make an argument. It was better back then for this.
For us, our generation.
But even for everybody, you know, there's certain things that like you could say, well, yeah, it was actually better back then. There's many more things, obviously, with technology and just how things have evolved where,
well, I'm sure that people in 1430 when they were 40 years old, they thought things were a lot better when they were 10 back in 1390. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, some stuff doesn't translate though.
I think a lot of people throughout the history of this, as long as humans have been on this earth, now I'm making a very broad statement, but I think there are many, many, many generations of people who said it was better when we were younger. It was better back then
yeah,
versus what it is now. I think it's a very common lament of people, especially as we get older, pining and looking back for the good old days.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. So I want to start with, okay, so what is nostalgia addiction? So what is nostalgia? Let's talk about the definition of nostalgia. Nostalgia is just a bittersweet longing for the past. It's usually this warm, comforting, soothing feeling you get when you think about your past and you go back in your down memory lane, so to speak. And usually they're the warm, comfortable, maybe humorous, fun, light memories that you have that you carry with you that were maybe sentinel moments in your life. So what's nostalgia addiction? So that's normal. Nostalgia, we all have nostalgia, I think. Hopefully we do. And if you don't, maybe there's some trauma there. That's another topic for another time. So what's nostalgia addiction? So this is when someone becomes stuck in the longing. They can't get out of looking in the rearview mirror. It's usually someone is using the past. It's an escape from their present pain or future worry. So there you go. You sort of said it 2 minutes ago, and I'm just giving you the more clinical definition of it. Okay, so where it's an addiction is where you're stuck back there and you really don't want to move forward because you don't want to look at what's going on in your present day life, and you really are worried or concerned about your future, that it's uncertain. So I will spend time. I learned this actually from my clients who were dealing with substance use disorders many years ago, and I was seeing them in my practice, and they would talk about their AA meetings, their 12-step meetings, and a common phrase, you've heard me say this, a common phrase that they would hear and that they would bring up in the sessions is look back but don't stare. And that was more the context of having guilt or shame about things you had done and ways you behaved, ways you'd acted or not done in your life, and usually through the lens of I was an addict, I was drunk, I was high, I was completely blotto all during that time, and drinking and driving, the way you treated somebody, you name it, right? You name it. And in 12-step and in therapy with me, in therapy and even in coaching, we're not about exacerbating that shame. Trauma treatment is all about moving away from shame, getting out of shame, looking at your guilt. And shame can't live in the light. Shame lives in the dark.
Yeah.
So when we talk about our issues or what makes us feel ashamed and what makes us feel guilty, we say, okay, look back, look in the rearview mirror. You're driving your car, okay? Here's the metaphor. You're driving the car. You look in the rearview mirror to see what's going on behind you, but you can't stare in that rearview mirror. You have to look forward. You will crash your car. You will hit the car in front of you. You'll hit a pole. So you look ahead, look back, but don't stare.
Yeah.
Look back in that rearview mirror.
You glance.
Look back at your past. Yeah. Glance at your past, but stay in the present moment and look forward to where you're going. And that was a wonderful way to talk about this whole episode. And that's in the context of addiction, substance use and drug addiction. And I love that they would use that in group, that they would say that to the members of the different 12-step groups my clients would go to. And I just told it to all of you. I don't know if I've mentioned it before in the podcast. And I say to my clients all the time, whenever they talk about regrets or shame about their past, we become addicted to, but this is addicted to the good times, the good old times.
Yeah.
For different reasons, but we don't want to look at what's going on right now here today, that my marriage is falling apart. I'm white knuckling it with my business. I'm losing my adult children.
Yeah.
Why are they the way they are? They're such little jerks. They're not respectful. They talk back to me. We never did that. I never would have done that with my mother. We didn't talk that way.
That's a dangerous one.
What we do is we look back and we pine for, why can't they be the way I was? We didn't talk to our parents that way back then. You got smacked if you talk that way. So we live in the past. And then what do your adult children say? Yeah, it doesn't relate to me, Mom. Don't know what you're talking about. Or Dad. That's not our reality. This is the world we live in today.
Yeah.
We are more talkative. We're more mentally healthy, and we're talking about our needs and our issues and our wants.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all great. But there's a schism, I think, with the generations. And so we can get addicted to, I don't like it the way it is today. No. And we resist. We push back. Make sense?
Makes sense. I think for something like that, that's something that's been going on forever. When you go from generation to generation, and different stories about that. If you grew up in the 20s, or you grew up in the 40s or 50s, and then you and I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now you've got kids that have grown up in the 90s, there's always going to be this handoff,
Right.
right? I think that the platform really should be more about how do you make those transitions not quite as bumpy, because they're not going to go away. Our kids will have this same exact conversation with their children 15 years from now, right? So it's like, how do we educate people to be like, you know what? It's okay that it's different. And it's okay to look back, right? Because that's your reality. That's your memory. That's how you grew up. That's all good. And your kids are going to have a different take on it. And their
Yeah.
kids are going to have a different take on it again.
But like my brother said about my other brother, like he is living in the past. We can't do that. We got to be in 2025.
Right.
Like we can't do this.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Like it's actually getting in the way of what needs to be done in my family of origin around some caregiving issues.
We need to show
it's affecting him.
Yeah. I think we need to show our kids that it's okay to have this bumpy handoff from us to you, because you're going to need to figure that out as you hand it off to your kids, because you will. You will have to hand this off at some point, and it's going to bother you too.
Yeah.
So be good at that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into why are we hooked? Why do we get hooked on being nostalgic? So there's a neurochemical payoff, number one. When we remember the good old days, it releases dopamine and oxytocin. So it's just really, in the short term, it's calming some sort of anxiety that's coming up inside of us. So there is a neurochemical payoff. There is story coherence. Most humans love story, the power of story. It makes us human. It makes our realities and our past real. It brings them alive. I was here. That happened. It matters. The brain prefers known narratives over the unknown. So when we revisit the past, it feels safer than facing the unpredictability, like I just said, of the future. So there's a story coherence that's going on. You know, nostalgia, there's comfort in nostalgia, and many of us would rather take that comfort over looking at the challenges that we are currently facing. Where it's like la 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 la. I would say like cover your eyes, cover your ears, cover your mouth, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Like I don't want to deal with the challenges of my future. I know they're there. I don't want to look at them. So it's like I would just stay stuck here today, rather than deal with what's going on really in my life right now.
Yeah.
I'm saying I would stay stuck in the past rather than dealing with what's going on in my life today and my worries with the future. Nope, I'm going to shut that down. Let's just tamp that down. And I'm going to stay focused on the dopamine, the oxytocin feels of the glory days of high school.
Yeah.
For many people, the glory days of college.
Right.
And you know everybody has moved on, but you're living in your head.
Yeah. I think that's the challenging side of this conversation, is not being able to let go and progress as a human, as you like live in modern time, and you're like always looking backwards.
Right.
And I also think that there's some nuggets in there about your story, about the way you grew up, that has helped to define you over the course of your 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, that maybe someone else, if they take a second to listen to that, they might better understand how you look at things and how you process things.
You're trying to impart wisdom, Tim, but they don't always want to hear it. You're trying to impart wisdom to people that are not open to it.
Not even impart wisdom, just be like, well, I get now why my parent or my uncle or whatever reacts this way in certain things, because that's the way they grew up. There's a little bit of like the past that's kind of hung with them.
But they're not nostalgic. You're just talking about them giving you life lessons. I'm talking about people who are talking about stories from the past over and over and over again. And you're like, wow, they have told me this story 4 times. My elderly neighbor, my old neighborhood, used to talk all the time about his past and growing up as a child in the 20s.
Yeah.
And I would just indulge him because I loved him. He was a cute little sweetheart of a man. And I would indulge him. But he was really stuck on, he was in his 80s. He was really stuck on his youth.
Yeah.
That's what he needed.
Yeah.
He needed an ear. And I would be happy to indulge him because he was a wonderful person. He just needed that. He was nostalgic for a time that was never coming back. He was from Europe, never coming back.
Yeah.
And I wondered for him, he'd just do that for me as I was raking the leaves in my front yard and come over. Or is this something he did quite a bit? Because that's got diminishing returns after a while if you're living there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think both of these things can coexist with each other. I think that there's the one that the person you're describing, like that defines them. They are 100%, aside from actually being back in time, they are back in time. And then you've got the others that glance back, share, look forward, move.
Right.
Right. Like
Right.
I think those two worlds, I think
Well,
more.
that's the difference. Well, that's
Yeah.
the difference between being nostalgic versus a nostalgia addiction.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into, before I want to talk to you about who are these famous characters many of us know in film that have been addicted to the past. And so I'm going to get into this in a minute and share with you a couple people that stand out for me when I was looking at this. I actually Googled it. Like, who are people who are stuck in the past? And it gave me a list. I want you all, okay,
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, to share this with all of you. One is very funny. And it's the first one that came to my mind on my own. It was one of the top 3 that came up when I Googled it. Okay, so before we continue into, signs that you're dealing with a nostalgia or someone in your life is dealing with a nostalgia addiction and the psychological costs of having this nostalgia addiction, I want to ask you to rate and review the podcast with 5 stars. Those reviews make all the difference in the world. I've been podcasting for 5.5 years now, coming up on 6 years, and your reviews are game changing. Okay. So if there is an episode that you think someone in your life would benefit from, please share it with them. All of that makes a difference. iTunes, Apple, Spotify, all the podcast platforms, they watch all that. They pay attention to all that. That makes a big difference. And if you're looking for coaching, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is your sign that you need coaching. If you're interested, if you're listening to this, reach out to me, hello@annamarcolin.com. Let's get on a call. Let me coach you. I would be happy to do it. I will get you to another place in your life. Okay. So coaching is transformational for people. It really is. And you deserve it. You can have it. Reach out to me. Let's work together. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So here are some signs that you're dealing with a nostalgia addiction. And then I'm going to talk about the people in film that you all may know of. So number 1, constantly saying things were better back then. Things were better when, or if only I could go back. Okay. That's your number 1 red flag that you might be dealing with something. Number 2, avoiding present opportunities because they just don't measure up to your memory. So you're avoiding the opportunities that are presenting to you right now today because you're like, no, they're not. It's not the way I remember it to be. And I know people in my life, I've heard clients actually talk about this, people in their life who frustrate them, who won't take advantage or won't put themselves out there, or won't send a resume or won't get into the dating because they're stuck on that lost first love from high school. Or nobody is like that girl from college. Nobody is like that guy I dated when I was 22. So they are just not dating. They're just not doing anything.
Yeah.
They think they want to be married. They think they want to have a family, but they won't take advantage. And I've had clients who they're playing matchmaker. I've got someone for you who'd be a great fit for you. No, because the pie in the sky is Susie from 11th grade. Well, there you go. So that's something right there.
Yeah.
Number 3, this is us. This is completely us.
Us who?
You
Us?
and me.
Us?
You
Us?
and me.
Okay.
And it's become a problem for me. That's why I want to do this episode.
Okay.
Reliving old music, TV shows, or photos, not just for joy, but to numb loneliness or stress. Well, I'm not trying to numb loneliness or stress, and I don't think you are either. But
No.
reliving old music, it's gotten to be a problem.
Well,
It has.
so
For me, I think we have to stop listening to all the 70s and 80s music on vinyl because I'm like in the basement going down memory lane. Now I'm like, I so want to be back there. And it's never going to happen. Like, it's gotten me a little down. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never told you this. I feel like a little depressed sometimes. I do. Not in a clinical way, but I do. I'm like, Anna, you got to live in the present moment.
okay, tap the brakes for just a second, okay?
True.
Because when we first started this, I said there's things where you can glance back. There's some things that you can be nostalgic about. There's a way of being as a person that is a problem. Like you're describing certain people like, oh, they always are this or that in terms of always talking about the past.
Yeah.
There are certain things, I think, music is one of them.
Yeah.
That we,
for many of us,
music. And there will be some listeners that are going to resonate with this thought. There are certain things, I believe, this is my opinion, that you have to agree were better back in the 70s and 80s. Technically, like the talent was better.
Okay.
Right?
Let's not go on and on
I do believe that there are some things that have held the test of time.
I'm talking about what it was doing to me emotionally.
Right. That's you allowing that to happen.
Well, you're always playing Journey.
Not you.
You're always playing Def Leppard. Always. We've gone back to vinyl. Tim has a record player, and we have a bunch of vinyl albums that we got from my brothers, actually. Three of my brothers.
Many of them, yeah.
When we went to sell my parents' house in 18, and they had huge record collections. My sister still has hers, but my older siblings, so there's 8 of us, and I have 5 older siblings. So I grew up as a child in the 70s, but I had older siblings. So I grew up with all this music, and now you know all of it. But I really heard it. It's a soundtrack of my life. It's the soundtrack. We had 8-track cassettes, and you put those big ass things into the car. And then from there, we went to tapes. But I remember 8 tracks, Barry Manilow, the Beatles. I remember all this stuff. And so they had the albums. And when we went to sell my childhood home, my brothers left all their albums there because the rooms were as they were from the 70s too. My parents probably had nostalgia addiction now that I think about it. And they didn't want anything to change. My mom said, I used to joke because my mom drove this old Cadillac. And I used to say, Mom, you want that Cadillac buried in the backyard? She'd laugh. She'd, yeah, I kind of do.
She wanted to be buried in the Cadillac.
She wanted to be buried in the Cadillac in the backyard.
Yeah.
And so did my dad. They thought that was such a funny thing that I'd say that to them. Like, well, it's the truth. You really want to be buried. They didn't know I want to give up that. And we all feel that way. It's hard for me to even talk about my childhood home because I have such nostalgia for it. So I don't, because it'll just get me in just a sort of feeling depressed, and I'll get out of it, but I don't want to go I don't want to go low with my memories about that house, because there's wonderful, wonderful time in my life for all 8 of us kids in that house. But you got the albums that they said, well, yeah, you can have them. We don't have vinyl. They didn't care about them. So you have all these albums. So we redid our basement, and it's a whole vibe down there. And we have a huge screen TV down there, and you have the record player. So we will go down there and we will listen to music on a Friday night. And what we've been doing is putting like 1982 Journey in concert in San Francisco on the big screen and mute that. And we'll play like whatever Journey's greatest hits or whatever it might be. And we're just sitting there watching it. And we have surround sound down there, and it's like going back in time. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And you have a huge smile on your face because I know you love it. But it can be, for me, it can be too much because of where I go. Because you love Def Leppard. I like Def Leppard. You love them. And I like their music. I remember, now that's high school. That's the 80s. I really remember Def Leppard was always on the radio, top 40. And it will bring me back, but it can get to be too much. I have said to myself, because here's the thing, and you don't know this, I get the algorithm on TikTok. So I get all the 70s and 80s music on TikTok. People who are our age, Gen Xers, who are obsessed about the music from the 70s and 80s rock. And people are putting up footage from concerts from the late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And I'm thinking, where did they get this?
Where did they get it?
Oh, no, it's unbelievable. So the algorithm keeps sending me this. And I'm like, Anna, get off. Yeah. You can't keep looking at all this because I get way in my head.
Yeah.
And I go down memory lane where I get way nostalgic, but it starts to affect me, where I start to feel down.
Yeah.
I have noticed it in the past several months. I can't keep doing this. This is not good for me to always be listening to the Eagles, The Long Run, Greatest Hits. I love all these bands. Yacht Rock. Oh my gosh, Yacht Rock. Don't even get me started. We could do a whole episode on Yacht Rock. Fleetwood Mac. I mean, the kids all love Fleetwood Mac, so that's great. But I got to get out of it too. And I have to listen to the current stuff. So all that to say, when I read this, I laughed because I'm like, uh-huh. So reliving old music, not TV shows, and not really photos. Photos will take me down memory lane when I'm going through them from my childhood. But the music, I think because it's music in a way, what it does for our memories, it's really something.
Yeah.
So that I'm saying for me, it has gotten to me a little bit.
Yeah. And I think you're describing a person that probably needs some coaching that allows it to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like for me, It's not about that. It's about the sound of vinyl playing through a speaker.
The crackling
That's
sound.
it.
It's funny.
That's all it is.
I know, and I don't appreciate
Yeah.
that as much. For
Yeah.
me, it is the past. It is my
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah.
Because you didn't grow up, because you grew up evangelical, and you couldn't listen to this music other than on the school bus, and the bus driver played it.
Yeah.
This was my life.
Yeah.
My father wouldn't allow it. He only allowed opera and classical. But my father was a doctor, and he was busy a lot. We didn't see him. My mother was a stay-at-home mom who drove us everywhere. She allowed all this music. And we could have it in the house. We listened to this. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, 1979. I mean, my sister singing Thunder Road as she was walking through the house. I mean, Blair belting out the words of Thunder Road. I was 10 years old, 9 years old. So for me, there's memories associated, like I just said, Carla walking down and singing Thunder Road from the top of her lungs, all the Eagles songs. I could just go on. So I have a different association to it than you do, because you didn't grow up with it. I did.
Not as engulfed in it as you're describing.
It was
now.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It was at the pool. The lifeguards played
Yeah.
it in the 70s. We were at the pool, and we lived at the pool because my mom would dump us off there and wouldn't pick us up till dinner time, because we had swim team practice. Then we played all day. Then we had swim team practice again at night. And the lifeguards were all these cool teenagers, and they were, I think pools still do it today, they were belting out all the rock music.
Sure.
So you always listen to this music.
Yeah.
And it was great music.
Yeah.
Okay. We went off on a major tangent, but I'm sharing that because this is something that I went to go look at this. I'm like, oh, I kind of have this a little bit with music. And I've had it lately. I can't keep listening or watching Journey and Steve Perry in concert. Okay. All right. So, signs you're dealing with a nostalgia addiction. Number 4, comparing every new relationship, these jobs that you have now or experiences, to an idealized past one. And that's true for a lot of people. So you're comparing everything to this. You've idealized your past. It's compare and despair. That's a thought distortion. You're comparing and despairing. Nothing is as good as it was back in 2000, 2010, 1995. Nothing's like that.
So I think you need to have said that a bit earlier. It's like, we're not talking about every one of these instances needs to wind it back to the 70s or 80s, right?
That's just because it's our age.
You could be winding it back to last year.
To the aughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be, for you, it could be like, oh, I keep comparing this relationship to the one that just ended 6 months ago.
There you go.
And it's got you so spun in circles.
That was the love of my life.
Yeah.
He or she, or they are the one who got away.
Correct.
And nothing will ever compare to that.
Yeah.
Well, you're pining with your memories, and you're nostalgic, and you're pining for that person or for that feeling again, the feeling, how it made you feel. You're pining for that.
Yeah.
And you refuse to look at what's right in front of you because you're pining for what's behind you.
Right.
And number 5, if you're feeling restless, depressed, or disengaged when you're forced to focus on the now. So when you need, because of work or your relationships, you got to focus on, hey, come on, wake up. Let's talk about today. And you're like, no, I don't want to. You resist it, and you're feeling like low or down about it. That's something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I'm kind of being a little lighthearted about this. I mean, this is not a clinical thing, depression, but I have noticed, like, this is not good for my mental health. I can't be spending my time in the evenings after we watch a show, when I'm in my white space, scrolling on TikTok, and I'm watching the algorithm, watching concert after concert after concert from the 70s and 80s and 90s. I'm like, enough, Anna, get off here. This is not good for you.
Stop it.
Get in the present moment. Right. But I'm being vulnerable and sharing.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Here's another good example. You and I have been in groups of folks, triathletes or runners, where we have enjoyed that training group, right? Over the course of the last 20, 25 years, right?
Yes.
And there are moments that we could remember together where it's like, oh man, that was the greatest because of
that was the best
fill in the
group.
blank.
Yes.
Right. But you could also get hung up on that, where you're trying to get that back, recreate some version of that 20 years later. For some folks, like, you could be like, oh, I want that feeling back again. And then you just obsess about it. You're never going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Have you ever felt that way?
No. In what sense? Have I missed some of the memories and some of the experiences? Yes. Some of the people, definitely. But like, I don't
long for it,
trying to recreate it, because I understand that we're in a different time right now. You and I do different things, and we've got other things that are more important.
But I do miss it too, Tim.
Yeah.
I miss those groups. I miss the people, and it happened organically. And there are 2 separate running and triathlon groups that we were with for years, and we grew. This is a thing, and any of you are in any kind of sport or team, you know what it's like. You get really tight. especially for the marathon runners. I mean, all of us marathon runners, we all know the things you talk about when you're on those long runs with each other. You got toilet paper in your little pouch in your running shorts. I know those of you who are not runners are going to be disgusted by this, but because you're on those long runs out on those roads and you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go. And you, but
I'm glad you clarified. The toilet paper is not used toilet paper.
You got to bring your own toilet paper, and you got to bring your waters and your gels. You got to bring toilet paper.
Yeah.
For you doing an 18 miler, yeah, you're bringing toilet paper because you don't know if you're going to hit a 7-Eleven or a Starbucks. Well, you all know. If you know, you know. There is a bonding that goes on when you're spending that many hours tired. There's something to what happens to your brain when you're on a long run or a long bike. Biking, not so much because you're not talking. You're usually, as triathletes, we're not really a Peloton, but sometimes you're 2 wide. We're never 3 wide, but you're not talking. Running is where you're really getting to know one another. You're starting to share more of your vulnerabilities because you're uninhibited, because the body is tired. I think the brain gets tired, and we start to talk about the real stuff in our lives.
Sure.
And it has bonded all of us together. We know about each other's marriages. We know about each other's kids. We would know about each other's worries about their child with an autistic spectrum disorder diagnosis that was coming up next week. How did it go? How was that neuropsych testing? How's your mom? When are they coming back from Florida? And the laughing that went on, laughing where we would be doubled over, like, I'm going to pee my pants. Stop. Laughing, the bonding. And I think back to that, but I don't have an addiction towards that too. I'm nostalgic for it. And I miss those people. We don't see them because they've all moved on. Some people have moved. I miss them, but I don't have it quite for that. That for me is a healthy nostalgia.
Yeah. Well, you miss the
community,
the feelings,
it's the community,
and the experiences of that time, right?
The fellowship.
But you don't obsess about let's recreate some version of that in 2025.
And we've had running groups.
That would be a problem.
If I got upset if it wasn't like how I envisioned it 20 years ago.
Well, it wouldn't be.
And we have tried it, and it's been fine. It's been lovely, and you get your runs in. There's something about those 2 groups where we all personality-wise just clicked.
Yeah.
And that was unicorn experiences. And I look back at that with appreciation, with a smile on my face, with a warm feeling inside of me. And I don't pine for it because I don't think I can recreate it.
No, you can't. You cannot. Yeah. And also you've taken, you meaning us, we have taken with, from that time, we have taken with lifelong friends from that. Like there have been folks that have hung on.
Yeah, we have individual friends.
Yeah. So I mean, those are like reminders of the past, but like you and I don't stew on it.
And they say the same. Like they'll DM me. I just got a DM yesterday through Messenger on Facebook. One of the guys used to run with. I miss you. How are you? Talking about something current. Or I think it was a post that I had done on social media and he made a comment about it.
Yeah.
Or a book that he was reading or something. So I love that. I appreciate that. Yeah. So we have some relationships now that, how are you, miss our time together. And we all know we're not going back to it because life has moved on.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the psychological costs to all of us who, when we are addicted to the past and we're sort of in a way subconsciously refusing to live in the present or looking to our future? So number one is stagnation. It's being tethered. We get ourselves tethered to this idealized past. And what happens is sometimes we're looking at the past through rose-colored glasses that, truth be told, this is our memory. Truth be told, it may not always have been that wonderful, but we got these rose-colored glasses on that it was so much better back then. And what that does is it really prevents us from growing today. So stagnation. The other psychological cost, which I mentioned earlier, is this distorted memory. And I just mentioned it right now too. The brain is editing the past. So it's cognitive bias is basically the term so it's cognitive bias, that we have this bias towards the rosy parts of 15, 10, 30 years ago. And the brain wants to go to all the good stuff, cognitive bias. The other psychological cost is the relationship strain that it puts on your partner, your husband, your wife, your partner, your kids, your colleague. It's hard for them when you're mentally somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that also goes along with if I'm like scrolling at TikTok and my son, one of the boys comes in and says, Mom. And I'm like, wait. It's like, come on, get off the phone. Because I'm like,
that's a whole different conversation.
It's being on the phone, but I'm down a rabbit hole in my memories.
Yes.
Right. Or I just want to talk about how it was 15 years ago, and your wife or your partner, your husband's like, Okay, but it's 2025. It's not 2010. Like, stop. I want to hear about it too, but it's too much now.
Yeah.
I was there. I remember it. Yes, it was wonderful. Yes, that weekend up at that lake and that resort. Yes, it's enough. There's a relationship strain for people.
Of course there is. You notice that, like, when people start sharing stories like that they're always good stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's always and the story like gets more and more polished over time. The more times you tell it, the better the story gets.
We embellish and we enjoy our embellishment. It does something for us. It's a stroke. Many of us are not talking, and most of us, not all, most of us are not talking publicly or with friends about our traumas. We're not talking about that. Even the little T traumas, that's not conversation that others want to hear. Most of us have an observing ego and awareness around that. Most of us, it's private. We're not sharing that. So we're not going to go down memory lane on a Saturday night of the traumas in my life, how dysfunctional my family was. No, I'll do that with my best friend, my family members, my close family members, or my therapist.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So we want to talk about the good stuff. All right. And then the other psychological cost is there's an avoidance loop. So the more that you lean into your nostalgia, the less you're facing present day problems. And that's reinforcing your nostalgia addiction. And that could be a problem. So if you are in this avoidance loop, so if you're coming to me, which specifically, like I said earlier, I haven't had anybody come to me where they have a problem with nostalgia. That's just not a thing. It just wasn't, or maybe it is now because we're doing an episode on it, but it wasn't a thing in the past. If someone is going to talk to me about the past, I am going to say, okay, what's this about? We got to dig deep. We got to go underneath what's really going on here that you are really focused on our high school years. You got to focus on today. And why is it that you're focused on when you were 16, 17, 18, when you were the star running back for your football team? Or, that was when you had this group of girlfriends who none of you are friends anymore, but you had this clique, these girls who just knew you. What's it really about? Oftentimes it's really about that I'm lacking in friendship right now.
Yeah.
And I don't have a sense of community, and that I have never been able to bond with women or men the way I did during those high school years, the bonding of the wrestling team. At work, when I was 30, I had a work wife, I had a work husband. These people were my ride or dies. We were a tight group. We had each other's backs. And right now, I don't got any of that. I'm hybrid. I'm home 3 days a week. The other 2 days I go in, no one's there because you have to be in 2 days, and they all chose different days to come in. And it sucks. And I'm getting my work done. I'm making decent money, but I don't have anything like what I had with my team 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know I'm living in the past. And truth be told, I'm depressed. I'm feeling depressed about all this. That's like, okay, now let's go there and let's talk about this depression that's going on.
Yeah.
This low level depression.
Yeah.
So when I think of this whole issue of nostalgia addiction, before we came on today, what is it really about? For many people, I'm going towards, so here's the clinical piece for all of you. I'm going to go towards a mood disorder. I'm going to look at some sort of an adjustment. We call it an adjustment disorder. That's actually a DSM-5 diagnosis under mood disorders. An adjustment disorder, you having difficulty adjusting to the changes in your life. You've had, and many, 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 many people in COVID and still outside of COVID now, 2025, have adjustment disorders. They have struggled with, can't do it, are not doing it, adjusting to and adapting. Adaptability is very important. Adapting to what life is presenting them with now. So they say, if I just stay in my house, stay in my memories, I'll go to the grocery store, I'll go to work the days I have to, but if I stay in the past, that is a great self-soother. It soothes me so that I don't have to deal with what's happening today.
Yeah.
And what's happening today is that you are struggling with your mental health. You're struggling. You actually have a clinical depression. You've got to move your body more. You're not eating great. You've got to get out there. You've got to go join a new running club because your running club for 15 years ago is gone. The 2018 running club that you were training for the Chicago Marathon with, it's gone. It's not 2018. They've all moved.
Yeah.
They've left because of COVID. They bought a country house somewhere in rural Wisconsin. That's it. That's not happening.
Yeah.
but there are new people in front of you right now who want to meet you. They don't know it yet, but they can't wait to meet you. And you don't know it yet, but you can't wait to meet them. There's a Chicago area runners group downtown. Go there, 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Go there and join. And there will be people with bright, shiny faces who say, hey, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Join a sewing class. Join a knitting class. There are people, there's so much excitement around this present day. That's the adjustment disorder that has to get worked on.
Yeah.
And that's one piece of it, that how I work as a therapist and as a coach, that I would tell you, you've got to get out there.
Yeah. So I think you're straddling the differences between nostalgia and vintage. So you can go out and have memories of that running group back in the day and let that go, and then go meet this new group and then show up in your 1980s shoes. That for you is a memory of what went down.
Yeah.
You can dabble in like something that reminds you of the past.
Look back, but don't stare.
Right.
So there you go again.
But
look back, don't
be
stare.
Going this way with your whatever
go.
item that you'd like, okay, but this reminds me of whatever it might be.
You can look back.
Yeah.
Don't stare in that mirror.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to break free from this, if you're someone who you're listening to this today, you're like, oh my gosh, I did not realize this is a thing, but this is me. I am dealing with this. Like I talked about with starting to feel like I was going down a rabbit hole with way too much music from the 80s on the big screen and the vinyl. Like it can be too much for me.
Yeah.
So here are some ways for you to move out of this nostalgia addiction. So you need to name it. Number one, I need you to name it. You notice when it's soothing to you versus when it's keeping you stuck. Really, really important. Notice when it's a massage, it's a self-soothe versus, okay, this is not good for me. I know it's not good for me. I like it, but it's not good for me. It's keeping me stuck. Notice that. Name it. Number two, reclaim the past as fuel. Okay. So ask yourself, what values or strengths from that time can I bring into this present moment? What values did I learn? What strengths did I gain from the past that I can bring into today? Really good one. I want you to design future nostalgia. This is a really good one. So instead of looking back, build moments today that you're going to want to look back on later. So do it today. Build those moments with your family members. Have people over. Have a dinner party. Have people over. Who cares? It doesn't have to be all perfect. Have people over. Stand up and give a toast to someone. Acknowledge somebody that you care about that did something for you. Say something thoughtful. You're creating these nostalgic memories today. So in 5 years, you're going to look back. Remember that dinner party we had in September of 2025 when all those people came over from different walks of life? Or I had everybody from whatever over my, 7 a.m. workout class.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
You can be nostalgic about that.
Yeah.
All right. You need to balance memory with the present moment. Okay. So you can practice grounding techniques like breath work, mindfulness, journaling, which I talk about all the time, to root yourself in the here and now. So meditation is always about this present moment, right here now, and now, and now, and now. Meditation has you in the present moment. I do a breathing meditation that has me grounded, sitting, aware of my body, aware of my breath in this present moment on a Monday morning at 6:30 in the morning. I'm here right now. I love that to get you out of nostalgia, to get into meditation and breath work. All right. And the last one is you need to update your narrative. So work with a therapist, work with a coach to integrate these past chapters in your life into your present life without idealizing the past, which you just said earlier, Tim. So learn how to integrate the past into your present. I can help you do that.
Yeah.
Easily help you do that.
Yeah.
And then you will realize how easy it is for you to do it. I can't get out of it. I can't get out. No, you can get out of it. I'm going to help you do it. And this is how you're going to do it. So you work with me. I coach you. You're going to get all that information. Okay. So who are the people in film? Number one, Jay Gatsby, The Great Gatsby. And I don't know if you ever read this book. I think we'd all read this book in high school. So Jay Gatsby was obsessed with reliving his past love with Daisy. So, I mean, everything he did was for her. So he rebuilt his entire life after he came back from the war. The wealth, the parties, the people that came. He was trying to recreate a single moment in time. So that was somebody who was really pining for someone from his past who couldn't get beyond it. And he ended up sort of destroying his life. Number 2, and I love this one, and this is what I thought of right away from Napoleon Dynamite. Uncle Rico. Uncle Rico. The quarterback football star who could not get out. He still lived in his 70s Volkswagen van in a cornfield. And all he did was record himself throwing the football and he was working on his arm.
Right.
And he was so stuck in his nostalgia about the glory days. He's like 43 years old now, right? And he's so stuck in being a 17-year-old star quarterback and he never went anywhere. Remember when Napoleon and Pedro, I think they're with him at the breakfast place having breakfast. And he's sitting there with his arms crossed. If you're on YouTube, you can see me. He's sitting there with his arms crossed. And all he's doing is pushing up his biceps and staring at his guns.
Oh my God.
Like and he's got a football jersey on. Like he thinks he's 17 years old.
Right.
And Pedro and Napoleon are rolling their eyes at him like Napoleon's weird uncle. He was completely stuck in whatever the decade the era of his high school years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very funny movie, by the way. One of my most favorite movies. So he was stuck. He was convinced his life peaked then. And that's really sad. He was convinced that was the peak of his life on this earth. And you all know that you know people who feel this way. There are people who feel that's when I peaked. And I do know people who feel this way about high school and college, that I peaked. Or you hear people who say, yeah, they're nothing now, but because they peaked in high school and they think they're hot shit now and they're not. It's not good. I mean, I've heard people just in life talk about other people that way. And most times I don't know who they are, but they're talking about someone they knew when they went back to a high school reunion. Oh yeah, they think they're, hot shit now, but they peaked in high school.
Yeah.
We've heard that.
We have. I mean, I do appreciate the memories. Like my high school football team, the year after I graduated, they won the state championship, which was a massive deal.
That's a big
back
deal.
then, right?
Yeah, and it is now.
And I love the fact that they still get together and they kind of like have memories of that and they share stories
that's
of that.
Good nostalgia.
But they don't live that.
Yeah, that's good nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, he was sort of a failure to launch. He failed to build a meaningful life for himself in his 30s and 40s. He just couldn't get beyond. For some reason, he just got stuck in the fact that he was like the big man on campus. Mm. And, what happened was in the movie, he lived in this fantasy land and he lived in bitterness.
Yeah.
That life didn't turn out the way he thought it was going to. Maybe he thought he was going to get a D1 college scholarship and play in the NFL. None of that happened. So he lived in bitterness. It's funny, it's humorous, but really it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
This guy lives in his van, throwing the football around, videotaping himself and staring at his body,
Right.
Another one which came up, which is Danny Zuko and Sandy Olsen from Grease. Mm. Sandy was really stuck, more than Danny Zuko, but Sandy was really stuck on nostalgic memories of that summer together at the beach and the horrible rude awakening she got when she met him in high school and realized that Danny Zuko was nothing like the Danny Zuko she remembered from the summer at the beach. And she was pining for him to be who she thought he was at the beach. Well, that's never who he was. Yeah. He really was Danny Zuko, was a part of the T-Birds.
Yeah.
In Greece. Yeah. So
that's interesting. I would never thought of that one.
Yeah. Rick Blaine from Casablanca. Lloyd Dobler from Say Anything. Y'all know Lloyd. Remember him? That was John Cusack's character holding up the boombox, trying to get his old love back.
Oh, yeah.
He idolizes his high school romance with Diane.
Yeah.
He was willing to sacrifice his identity and future chasing a perfect idea of love that did not exist any longer. So, what was the cost? You risk becoming defined by a relationship from the past instead of on your own personal growth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I just wanted to end. Oh, Marty McFly, they said was one. Oh, Lotso in Toy Story 3.
Marty McFly.
Yeah. They said, it's funny. It said, it's a mild case. Hey, Google, it's a mild case. And Lotso from Toy Story 3. Lotso longs for his past as his beloved toy.
Wait, which toy was that?
He was the bear, the pink bear. Did you ever see Toy Story 3? He was the bear, and he turns bitter and controlling because he cannot accept being replaced.
Oh, you can make an argument that all those toys were in that camp, right?
You're right. They all had a little bit of a nostalgia addiction.
They all ended up in a box, and
they were so upset because the little boy who grew up, he
went off to school,
and they ended up going to, I think Toy Story 3. They're at a school. They're at like a
Yeah.
daycare or something.
We'll have to watch that again. I
Yeah.
don't.
So there you go, everybody. I mean, think about this. This is a lighter topic, but it can get more serious because if you really can't get out of the past, then from a clinical perspective, we have to look at that. And we have to look at, are we dealing with a clinical depression here? And if so, then we'll deal with that. We'll process it and we'll move you out of it.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to have nostalgia. Be careful of yourself focusing on it too much to stay out of what life is presenting you with today and looking towards your future. I want you all to be excited about your future and excited to wake up every day in this moment and revel in what life has to bring you now and tackle the challenges it's bringing you now and look forward to your future. Drive that car, go forward, go ahead of yourself.
Let me give you one more visual, and you can use this as a little marketing piece down the road because I think it would be perfect, right? So we talk about like looking forward, right? You're driving forward, glance backwards. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to be that person that jumps into the back of that station wagon and sits in that chair that faces backwards, right? Like
many people listening to this podcast have no idea what you're talking about.
But they should. Because I think that's a great visual.
Me and Maria and Paula were always stuck in the back, looking back, and I hated it because it made me feel sick.
Yeah, but
don't do that.
But that's a great visual of like, okay, don't, because if you go back there and you look backwards, and that's the way you ride.
So all you do is look where the car has
gone.
So back in the 70s and 80s in these station wagons, the back three seats faced the back. So I hated it because you saw what the car had passed. I would turn around or I'd sit sideways so I could look and see what was going on.
Totally.
So look back, but don't stare at your past. Okay. Hope that this was helpful. Reach out to me if you want coaching. Mad love to all of you.